I'm Mike.
And I'm Angela.
And this is NFGeeks. All right, so we're going to continue the dream conversation. This is part 2 of the dream conversation. And so, so two things. First, I want to tell one of my favorite dreams.
Okay.
Because it really points to the fact that dreams can help you in the real world.
Mm.
This is a dream I had a while ago. This is like a 10-year-old dream. I've talked about this before, I think, and you might recognize it. I don't know if I talked about this in class, but so about, I don't know, a decade ago or so, I was involved with a woman, okay, as I often am. And
most of his stories start like this.
Yeah, really, no kidding. Well, if I'm an ENFP, what else would I be talking about? You know, I told you the spaceship dream.
I know.
You know. Okay, so I was involved with this woman, and she was Asian. Yeah, and there was this, and it was really a very passionate love affair, but it wasn't a stable relationship in terms of commitment or a future or anything like that. It was very roller coaster. You know, we would get together for a few weeks or a few months, and it would be very hot and heavy, and then I wouldn't see her for weeks to months, and then I would see her, and then I wouldn't see her, and I would see her, and I wouldn't see her. And it was all this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth all the time. And this was making me a little loopy because as slutty as ENFPs are, really we all want commitment and a stabilizing relationship, right? So I really wanted this relationship to be not like this. I really wanted this relationship to be stable and
more serious, yeah.
More serious, and it just wasn't going in that direction. So one night I had this dream that I was in a mall, okay? And it was a mall, I don't know what the significance of this is. It's a mall that's in New Jersey, in Paramus. If any of you are watching from Paramus, New Jersey, you know what mall I'm talking about. And it's a mall that I actually had been in at one point or another in my life. So I don't know why that was the mall, because I don't live near this mall. So, but I had been in this mall and ended up in the dream. Now, the mall was crowded. It was completely crowded like it would be on Christmas.
Like it was
Christmas.
Like it was
but like
Christmas
season, right.
Yeah.
Or the Friday after Thanksgiving, you know. It's
like
one
Black
of these,
Friday, yeah.
Right. Completely packed with people. Okay, more packed than a mall would normally be on a regular day.
Yep.
And in the distance through the crowd, I saw this woman. I saw her walking. Okay, I said, oh my God, there she is. So I tried to approach her. She looked over her shoulder, and she saw me approaching, and now she started moving away. So now a chase begins in the mall, okay, and I'm trying to catch up to her. And, you know, this is turning into like an adventure movie. Like, I'm going up the down staircase, you know, escalator.
As she's going up. And
right, I'm jumping over benches.
Yeah.
I'm knocking over mannequins. I'm cutting through stores.
Very theatrical.
Right, I'm trying to, like, catch up to her. And the interesting thing is that she was aware the whole time because she would look back and see if I was still in view. And in the dream, I never caught up with her, but I never lost any distance because what would happen in the dream is that as she would get further away, she'd stop and look over to see if I was chasing. And then once I got within a system, she would start up again and keep moving, okay? And that was the whole dream. All right? So then I wake up from that dream, and I realized, oh my God, that was the entire relationship. Okay, that was actually the relationship as it happened.
Just a cat and mouse game.
Yes, that was actually what was going on. And interesting is that dream eventually led to me breaking up with her.
Wow.
I broke up with her because of that dream, because I woke up from that dream and I realized, oh my God, this is real. And that's exactly what's going on.
That was what your brain was telling you, that this is what's really happening.
I'd like to think it was the greater collective consciousness.
Yes.
But okay, we can say brain. All right, so I wanted to tell that story. So the next thing I want to talk about then, so that was part 1. Part 2 is, let's talk about recurring themes or recurring elements.
Yes.
Because this is, I think, a very fascinating thing that's happened. I've had some very interesting experiences with this. So what are some recurring things that have happened in your dreams?
Well, one thing that's kind of weird, and I don't know if this one's going to kind of resonate with you, but I had a lot of dreams where after a while I had to stop watching horror movies because after I would watch the horror movie, I would dream the movie exactly as it happened, as I had seen it, but with people I knew and me in the movie instead of characters that had been in there previously. So the exact same template, the storyline, everything the same, you know, the people that died or whatever. And it was very nerve-wracking because I was always the person that was trying to get away. And, you know, I was like kind of, you know, like how at the end of a horror movie, you know, there's always like one or two people left. I was always one of those two people, but it was terrifying to the point where I would wake up sweating and crying, or a combination of both, and my heart was pounding, and I felt like I was really there, to the point where those got so realistic that I actually had a panic attack waking up one night. So I had to stop watching horror movies because it just got too intense for me.
What was going on in that particular dream?
Lots of bloody, gory stuff, and kind of like, almost like Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of thing. And then another one that I had a lot of issues with, and maybe this is me because I believe in more like, you know, otherworldly kind of things, was any kind of, although I know paranormal activity isn't real, but it freaked me out because I believe in those things. I believe in otherworldly things. I believe in people who have passed on coming on to tell things, and I also believe in evil things happening that will take on people who, you know, either don't believe in it or, you know, faith, however you want to go with it, with religion or not. I don't want to be, you know, biased either direction, but those things really freak me out too, because then when I imagine it, I was a very imaginative child.
Sure.
So I always had those dreams of I would wake up and see like a shadow in the corner and like freak out, which inevitably made me have a darkness phobia. So a lot of the dreams that I've ever had have resonated in real life, not just like we talked about in part one, was in real life experiences, as in like things happening that we had already seen, but also in creating instances in my life, or creating a phobia, or creating a fear, so to speak. So that definitely happened with me a lot. The other thing I used to have too was a lot of childhood dreams, because I didn't remember a lot of my childhood. Pretty much the only memories I think I've had would have been kind of came up in dreams, in dream form.
Such as
being a toddler, walking around my house and remembering certain things from a lower view. Like, I lived in the same house my whole life from when I was little till I was about 18. So I remembered things like pictures being up on the wall and crawling on the floor, and a certain, even to the point of like a spot on the rug that I remembered that was there my whole life from like a candle or something like that. But things like that where I was like, I'm definitely thinking about this in detail, but I get confused because I'm like, is this a memory or is this me simulating a memory into my own thought process? Because as a younger child, you know what, this was like me from like a 3 or 4 year old's point of view. And it's very odd to think about, but I don't remember having those memories when I think about it consciously being awake, but then unconsciously being asleep having those things.
Right.
So I don't know what you think about that one, but
well, that's a common issue that a lot of people have. I think NFs have it a lot. Is, did I dream it or did it happen? You know, and that actually leads to a good segue into a recurring dream I've had. Because for a long time as a child, I thought this really happened until I got older and I realized, well, this couldn't have really happened. And that is, I've had, and all the NFs who are into like astrology and tarot cards, all the that are into the mystical things, you're gonna love this. I've had a reoccurring dream about the moon, but not just one moon, of there being multiple moons in the sky. Yes. Nothing really terrible happens, but in the dream, I would look up and there would be more than one moon. Okay? One time I dreamed, this is what I mean, like I thought this was real for a long time, but I thought I was being carried into the house by my family, which was something, you know, you bring a little kid at night who's tired. And I looked up, and straight above the sky there were 3 moons. A big one, a middle one, and a little one. And for a long time as a kid, I thought that really happened. And I realized, I don't know, it's been about 6 or 7, I realized, well, that couldn't have happened. That was a dream, because, no, there weren't like 3 moons in the sky in like 1972. You know, we would, you know, that'd be on Wikipedia by now. So that was one. Another one, though, I was on my porch looking east, and there were 3 moons in the sky in like a triangle. And not too long ago, I saw moons in the sky in a dream going across. And here's the funny thing, like I know the direction they were traveling in all the dreams. Like these were traveling from southwest to northeast. Not traveling, but there were moons up in the sky in a row.
The way that they were set.
And from the southwest, southwest to northeast. You know? So I don't. So I've this recurring moon dream of multiple moons in the sky is something that I've had over and over and over again. I don't know, but it started with a dream that I actually thought as a little kid really happened. And I think I might even have talked about it. The dream, remember when we saw all the moons or something? Like when I was really little, I was probably like 4 when I had the dream.
That could be another thing I wanted to think about. And maybe, I don't know if this ever happens to you, but I find that as I got older, childhood friends that I had, we would have conversations where I would say, oh, don't you remember when we did this and this and this? And they say, no, I don't remember. And I'd go through this whole story. And later when I thought about it, I'm like, I don't know that this actually happened because they don't remember it the same way as I do.
Sure.
And for a while I was saying, oh, they just don't remember. It's no big deal. But then it got to a point where, like, one of my friends was actually like, there's no way this could have happened because this never would have happened ever. No chance in hell that this ever would have happened.
I actually have a similar experience with INFPs, and I'll acknowledge that it might not be with all INFPs, because there'll be a comment from an INFP, I don't do that, crying.
Yeah.
But
as they do.
As they do. But I've had this with more than one INFP, so there might be something INFP going on. But INFPs, and it's not so much a dream as much as it is a daydream, but INFPs will be thinking of something they want to say to you. And it'll be something very serious, and they'll feel it very deeply because they're the deepest feelers, internal feelers of all the NFs. That's why they cry a lot. But it's because they're the deepest of all, so I'll give you that. So, I love you. So, they're the deepest of all feelers. So it's a very intense emotional experience. And it's so intense for them that it's almost as if they did say it, even though they didn't. And so then they'll ask you, like, remember when I told you about the thing and the other thing? And you'll be like, no, you never said that. No, and they'll be like, no, I said it. And I think what happened is that they said it in their head. It was so emotionally intense. It gave them an actual real experience.
They feel like they actually
did say it. And then they get mad. That always happens. Every time this has ever happened.
Weren't you paying attention?
Right. This happens. That's what they say.
Weren't you paying attention?
Right. And I was like, you never, ever said this. This has happened to me. Now, here's the thing. This has happened to me with more than one INFP. And it's happened multiple times with INFPs, like the same INFP doing it like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
So there's something in my mind INFP about that. I don't know what that is, but that reminds me of your experience. That's why.
It's a thought for another.
Yeah. Another thing I want to talk about is another recurring thing, because you know about nightmares. Really, is one nightmare I've had recurring over my whole life is being inside a large building, like a mansion or a castle or just a large complex building, and there is evil in this building. Okay, there's just horrible evil in it, some kind of metaphysical evil, but there's also people in the building, like in a cult, or who are also evil. Okay, and they know about the evil, and I'm somehow in the building, but they don't realize I'm not one of them. Like, they think I'm in on the evil, the cult, whatever it is that's going on in here, and I have to get out before they realize that I'm the, not in on whatever this horrible thing is.
Crazy.
And there's also like this feeling of darkness that's in the building somehow too. There's also some other larger, like, dark side of the force going on inside the building. And one of the recent ones I had in a year, this was really freaky, is that I was in this building and I was sitting in a chair and I knew I was in one of those buildings. Like, oh no, this is an evil building.
Oh boy.
And I look behind me and there's a hole in the wall, like a little hole in the wall. And so for some reason, like, what is this hole? And I go up to the hole and I look in the hole and there's another eye looking back at me. Okay, and I was like, oh my God. So then I look in the hole again and the eye goes back and it's a woman in another room, in a white room. And she's yelling, but you could barely hear her, but she's yelling, help, I'm trapped. You've got to get me out of here. I can't find my way out. So I was like, okay, maybe I can do something. And now here's the scary part is that I go to the wall, I go to the edge of the wall, but there's not a room there. It's just a wall like this sticking out in the room. Like it's just like a 3 or 4 inch wall, and there's nothing behind that wall. So it's almost like she's trapped inside this wall. Whoa. Like she's not trapped in a room that's behind the wall. She's trapped in the wall in some other dimension, though. Whoa. You know what I mean? Because the wall is only this wall sticking out in a room. Yeah. Like, you know how walls sometimes stick out in a room and like behind it there's another couch? It's just a wall like that that's like 3 or 4 inches. So now, what do you think I did? You think I rescued the woman? No, I said I got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
I gotta get. And that's when I started running. I started like running. I remember like getting outside and trying to jump over fences and trying to get through it.
That's like us. We'll get out and then we'll feel sorry and cry about the fact that we didn't save the person later.
Yeah, after running.
Yeah.
All right, so that's all the time we have. So good job, Angela.
Thanks.
Thanks.